Pogba's final United game, Alves in shock, Barcelona return, Juve want French forward, and a transfer roundup all coming up in the next few minutes as I'm your host Matt Frodick. You are the OneFootballers and this is the Daily News. So first up, and as Paul Pogba potentially played his last game for Manchester United, he might have done. He's basically gone on France international duty and injured himself. A thigh strain has meant that Pogba could face between 8 and 12 weeks out of action. That will take him up into the new year to January 2022 when he enters the final 6 months of his contract. This means that any club out there is not only free to discuss a contract with Pogba that will start next summer, but also if United know that he's going to leave and they maybe want to get a last little bit of money for him, they could put him up for sale. Obviously, it will be a cut deal price, but at this point, even 15, 20 million or whatever is better than nothing. It could also be a blessing in disguise for this Manchester United squad. In the last few weeks, we've kind of seen Paul Pogba crowbarred into this side where he doesn't necessarily fit. If he comes into central midfield, they break up the defensive two of McTominay and Fred. Sometimes he's pushed out to the left where he isn't that effective. It just looks as though Pogba doesn't fit into this system. So without having to worry about picking him in the starting 11, United can maybe put together a bit of consistency in their midfield area. This would also mean that Pogba's last game was the 2-2 draw with Atalanta in the Champions League, and his last Premier League match for Manchester United saw a 15-minute cameo from half-time to the 60th minute where he was given a straight red for a disgusting foul on Naby Keita. And if anything sums up Paul Pogba's time at Manchester United, it would pretty much be that. Now, of course, he could come back from injury in January. No one's bought him and he'll play a couple more games. But at the moment, it looks as though by the time he returns, there will probably be a new Manchester United manager. And the number one name on the list at the minute is Brendan Rodgers. This, of course, changes day by day. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still the Manchester United manager. But if he were to go, there's those names being linked with the job. And it looks as though the Leicester man is the number one target should they get rid of the Norwegian. Moving up, and a bit of transfer news that would be absolutely shocking were it to happen. Dani Alves back to Barcelona. The 38-year-old has proved that he's still got it. He even played in the Olympics this summer. And after leaving Sao Paulo, there was interest from a few other clubs in Brazil, but it looks as though he is setting up a meeting to potentially return alongside former teammate Xavi. Actually, later on today, I'm going to speak about how Xavi can reignite Barcelona, take them back to near their best. And unfortunately, Dani Alves isn't really a part of that. Part of it is actually Xavi getting rid of some of his former teammates when they're just not good enough and they've reached the age where they need to be moved on. So the 38-year-old, despite the fact he's still in very good shape and can still contribute, probably isn't the greatest signing for Barcelona. The only way that I can see this possibly working out is that if he comes in as a player coach and really helps Serginho Dest. Dest has already got the attributes to be a flying fullback, so can you imagine learning from Dani Alves? I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Alves, but he can certainly pick up a few pointers or two about how to make that position his own at the Nou Camp. And moving on then to a massive deal should it go through in January, and that is Juventus bringing in France and Manchester United forward Anthony Martial. I say France forward because he is French, not because he is in the national team, and that is completely due to a lack of form and a lack of game time, which pretty much has been spanning back the last year or so. Last season he only managed 4 goals in the Premier League, and this season with the continued emergence of Mason Greenwood, plus the signing of Jadon Sancho, plus the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, has meant that Anthony Martial is finding it more difficult than ever to break into this Manchester United team. And Jesse Lingard's back in as well. That's not really the same position, but it's just another player to contend with. Anyway, Anthony Martial could find that his career could be back on track if he moves to Juve. At the minute, Max Allegri has come back in and it hasn't exactly gone to plan with the club sitting 9th in the league. They do play a 4-4-2 system and, well, often it's kind of seen, unless it's Dybala or Morata, some wingers play up front as well, which doesn't exactly help their cause like Kulusevski, and it's really not been an ideal start to the season for Juventus in front of goal with just 16 goals in 12 Serie A games. I think Dybala may be better as a little bit of a link-up player in number 10. Obviously, Alvaro Morata is a centre forward. They haven't really got that out-and-out striker that's going to get them a lot of goals. Of course, Anthony Martial can float between the left position and the striker position as well. But I think if you put him up front, give him license to get in the box and score a lot of goals and give him lots of the ball and lots of game time, he could still be a quality player. We've seen it. Just not consistently enough, and he's definitely not going to get that kind of game time at Manchester United ahead of trying to force his way back into the World Cup squad for France for Qatar next winter. Finally then, a quick run up with the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed, and Genoa manager Andrei Shevchenko is interested in bringing Chelsea's Christian Pulisic. Elsewhere on German side, Borussia Mönchengladbach want to take the next young English starlet in Arsenal's Eddie Nketiah. Diego Simeone's son Giovanni is interesting West Ham, and he's currently on loan at Hellas Verona. Lastly but not least, after putting in a stunning performance against Liverpool at the weekend, Jarrod Bowen is even more so on Jurgen Klopp's list of transfer targets. That's all from me then. Make sure you check back tomorrow for loads more OneFootball content.